Hello and welcome to Nerdrunners. I'm Mark, and joining me as always is the man so notorious he occupies his own most wanted list. It's Stef.
I see what you did there. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to us. You are. That's probably not the way. We're back. Oh my God! It's been like a month.
So long. Too long has passed.
Far too long. So, first of all, a little apology. We're very sorry we haven't been here providing audio goodness direct into your ear holes. That was weird. As you can tell, I've been sick. We both had sort of like not serious health issues, but we were really, really ill for a while there.
It's the thing that kind of started out as just a cold, and you think, then it's like, no, I'm not okay, and then 4 weeks later, you still feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where it was literally just before Christmas I felt better, and then, hey, Christmas. But it is now 2016, the year of the most wanted list, which...
the year the sky fell in Netrunner again.
the year that Mark freaked out on New Year's Eve and messaged me at 2 in the morning to tell me about the most wanted list.
I just got Liz's wireless code, and I thought, all right, I'll just check what's going on the internet before I go to sleep. And it's just like... You know, in like TV shows where all of a sudden they're awake, alert, sit up, and it's just like, huh? It was that kind of reaction of like, seriously? Am I reading this right? I know it's 2:30 and I've had a bit to drink, but seriously?
Yeah,
that was
seriously.
Yeah, of course, the news that there is now a most wanted list, and there are 11 cards that are not restricted. They're not limited. They're just gonna set you back a bit more influence now.
Yeah,
so
I suppose we'll just jump straight into it because, let's be honest, it's what's on everyone's mind.
Everyone's talking about it, so we might as well join into the discussion.
Pretty much, we might as well throw our completely ill-informed view into the ring.
Our 2 credits.
That's terrible.
I'm so starting a section this year called My 2 Credits.
Oh, jeez. All right. I'm still not well enough for this, you realise?
So do you want to give an overview of the most wanted list then, Steph? What is it? Why are these cards on here, and what is going to happen to the cards?
So these cards are cards that have seen, I think it was adequately described to me as way too much use in tournaments. And it ended up with a lot of decks being built around it. So these cards have been put onto the most wanted list, and they... what is it? They reduce the identity's influence limit by 1 when included in a deck.
Even if it's in the faction.
So,
relevant.
And they're cards that everyone's seen, and that's the whole point. You know, I'm not happy about some of them being on there. I'm more happy about others. So should we do a quick run through of what they are?
Yeah. Cool. So first we have, on the runner side, we have Lady from the Lunar Cycle. That's the dog breaker for the Shapers. Gets through barriers dirt cheap with power counters. Clone Chip from Creation and Control, which is get your stuff back from the bin if you're a Shaper, or if you're anyone, because it gets splashed everywhere. Desperado, the Criminal Console, it gives you money for a successful run. Parasite, which just eats through ice. Prepaid Voice Pad, which makes events cheaper. And Yogg, which just blitzes code gates that are 3 strength or less.
Yep, and then on the Corpse side we've got Architect, which is the HB Sentry, isn't it?
Yes,
which does interesting things looking through R&D in your hand and installing cards. AstroScript, I'm not going to talk anymore about that because everyone knows what the fucking AstroScript is. Interestingly, Eli's on there. The Bioroid Ice. NAPD Contract, which, you know...
ironically.
Yeah, who'd have thought it? And then Sansan, which that's the one I'm less happy with.
City Grid, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. So me and Mark came from when I heard the news. My world didn't immediately crumble. I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, because I like to think I'm a rational human being. And even though it was 2 in the morning, I hadn't been drinking as much as Mark, so that's probably why I didn't freak out.
Well, yeah, but that's because you were like having like cheeky waters and disguising your wine as apple juice.
True.
Yeah, having apple juice
true.
Disguised as wine, rather.
I've been sick, Mark. Don't judge me.
Whereas I see
Freaked
this as
out.
more of not freaked out. It was just more like I wasn't expecting this at all. I know I understand the reason these cards have been targeted, and it's because they're so ubiquitous. If you say, everyone plays Prepaid Kate because it's a it's a deck. It constantly wins. It's very what's the word where it's consistent. It's very consistent. That's the word I was looking for. And then obviously on the corp side, it's very targeted at kind of fast advance NEH or pretty much no one uses really any other ID for fast advance and NBN really. And maybe a bit at HB with Eli and Architect, but even then they're in the fast advance decks as well.
With the corp side, it was definitely targeting fast advance, and it feels like it's also targeting cards that are just includes because. So it's sort of like
I need a barrier. I'm going to put Eli in without a second thought.
Yeah, NAPD contract. If you need an extra agenda, you throw in an NAPD because hey, it costs the runner.
Yeah,
it's. I can understand. I understand why they've done it because it forces people to kind of mix up the decks, and it's not that massive a change, but it's enough of a change to make people go, "Oh crap!" All of a sudden, the fast advanced deck you've got with Sansan and Astro being in there, you've now got bugger all influence to spend on anything else.
See, I was also a little bit annoyed because unfortunately we didn't get to play against each other at New Year, but I'd brought along a Kentenma deck which I'd just been working on, and in it were prepaid voicepad and Yogg. And
yes.
I was like, shit. I mean, I had been umming and ahhing between prepaid and public terminal, which is the criminal hardware, which is basically prepaid voicepad, but only for run events.
Yes.
Which obviously makes more sense in Kentenma since it's always running. But I felt I had enough non-run events in my block of events to warrant having prepaid voicepad in there. But still. But I mean, going back to what I was saying though, is like when I first saw this, to me it felt more like, when you're a kid and you got a class detention because there was like a couple of pricks in the class who were just like causing a ruckus and being arseholes, and so everyone gets punished for it.
Yes.
This to me feels like a class detention for Netrunner. Like there are some decks that are overshadowing every other deck, constantly winning, and now everyone who wants to include these cards is going to have to pay that penalty because these cards, they were put in good decks, the good decks were winning, then everyone's like, well, these cards are great, I'm going to put them in my decks, and then, or even make their decks. So like, one thing that I heard a lot used to be like, well, when you're making like a Shaper deck, it's like, well, is it better in Kate?
Yeah.
Or HB is like, oh, is it better in core HB? Because, I mean, that gives you money every time you install something, once a turn. And that's good, it's a very good ability, as is Kate's ability, reducing.
Some would say overpowered.
And I don't know, I've always disliked that mentality of, is it better in another runner, rather than, what could I do to make it better in this runner that I want? So, for example, if you're, I don't know, thinking about doing something in Hayley Kaplan, for example, because I know that she got compared a bit to Kate with, obviously, Hayley being able to install two things on one click. And then
it turns out it's better at Kate.
Exactly, and it's just, I've always disliked that mentality of, we as a collective Netrunner groupthink have decided that this runner is the pinnacle of this faction, therefore every runner should be compared to them. If they're not as good, put your deck in that runner. I know, but it feels like that at times, though.
I know, but you have to appreciate that even so, Kate is still completely... She's better. She is better than Hayley. Unfortunately, just because of her power.
Well, it depends on the deck. If it's built around Hayley's ability, and if you like... I mean, you can go in with Comet as well in Hayley, or you can even put Comet in Kate.
Of course you can. And I'm not saying that in every situation, but for tournament play, and that's the big thing, like these restrictions apply for tournament play. They don't apply for casual play. Now, obviously, it depends how you are. I've always been a very casual player. I'm not very good at tournaments. I'm kind of shit. But, I dislike that this is also leading us towards a Magic-esque situation where you have tournament-ready decks and then casual decks, and there could be segregation in the community because of that. I'm not a fan of it, but we'll wait and see whether that happens.
So, because obviously, how much Magic did you play? Because I know you're kind of a reformed Magic player.
I played quite a lot of Magic. Like I played a lot when I was younger, and then I got pissed off with it. And I played a lot a few years ago, and then I found Netrunner, and I was like, oh yeah, Magic's shit. That is my opinion. Please don't send me emails. I know lots of people like Magic. I don't. I'm sorry.
It's a great thing about opinions.
Just don't complain to me because I'll ignore you, or I'll make a point of calling you out and telling you that your hobbies are shit. God,
in your opinion,
in my opinion, yeah, it's the best thing about opinions. But no, I completely understand why they did it with tournament play, because if you look at tournament play, even from the lowest level to the highest level, things you will usually see if you say, all right, what are you going to see at a tournament? Before this, what would you see? You would see Fastro. You would see a lot of prepaid Kate. You would see tons of use of Desperado out of criminals, and I know you don't like Desperado, so
it's not that I don't like it. It's just that
oh, come on!
No,
you
it's
really
I don't.
like
I don't
Desperado.
think it's the be all and end all of criminal consoles.
And
I
that's
think
the whole point.
Logos, Boxy, Doppelganger are all great, and it's that whole. Is it better than this card, which we as the group think have decided is the best console for criminals, and therefore this is what you should use. What actually really annoyed me was when I was building my Ken Tenma deck. Regardless of the fact I had 3 doppelgangers in the deck already, and I was basically
feel
a card
the fury
limit.
in your voice.
Netrunner DB was still the top card it was recommending to me in its auto build thing was Desperado. It's like, I've already got a console! It's not Desperado, okay?
But of course it was. Of course it was. And that's the whole point of these rules.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how often they'll review these, because I think it'll be interesting with each, season, each year. Maybe I don't know how long. I suppose it's a season for the tournament, isn't it?
Well, because very soon we're going to have rotation, and that's going to take out prepaid, NAPD, and Eli. The first 3 that would permanently be off this list because they're in rotation and therefore not to be used in tournament play. So I guess it would be reviewed then. But just going back to tournaments a second, one thing that I was thinking about as well is I've had a bit of an issue with tournament structure defining winning decks for a while, and because you have a 65-minute usually round time to play 2 games Corp and Runner, then obviously you want to take a fast deck because you don't want to go over and get go to time because you get fewer points. So there's definitely an emphasis on taking a quick deck. Obviously, Fast Advanced MBN is a quick deck, and Prepaid K is quite fast because you have that money fast, and you have a lot of instant speed, kind of pulling things back. You very rarely with Kate kind of just bounce off something. It's always the shaper, the green card shaper bullshit of I'll do some magic and I'll end up getting in regardless and probably access
and
multiple
then you'll
cards.
chip. Yeah.
And then you'll clone chip. You'll clone chip the SMC back to go get the lady. And yeah, I've often wondered. I mean, obviously I know it's the people who do want to play, because then you have that kind of disparity between people who play quickly and have a long break, and then obviously extends the day. And especially if it's a large tournament where you've got a lot of people, a lot of rounds to get through, then obviously it does. I understand, obviously, the reason why we have that a lot of time is because it's the same reason movies used to be like 90 minutes long. It's because that's the kind of the length the movie had to be to kind of have enough screenings in a day to make enough money to make it worth doing the movies. So that's why we have the 65, 70-minute round, is to fit everyone into a day, so you're not doing 2-day tournaments. But at the same time, it is conducive to playing fast decks, and then obviously you'll see someone with like a slow corp deck but a really fast runner deck, or vice versa. I don't know, it feels like a lot of the time you build towards the small amount of time you have in a tournament to play, and it's not. And I know you want to be playing quickly, you don't want to be playing slowly, but even a deck that runs a bit slower, sort of, I know I've had a lot of like HB decks that work quite slowly because it's all about kind of taxing the runner and making them kind of be slower, or even the Cronus Protocol deck I've been playing recently. It's a 54 card deck anyway, but it's a slow deck. It's a grind. I'm pinging cards out of your hand. But yeah, again, like you'd never think to take that to a tournament because you think, well, it takes me 65 minutes to almost play one game as the Corp. I can't take this to a tournament. And I don't know. It's interesting that it's almost become this like self-fulfilling kind of, to throw a Netrunner card named Ouroboros, of kind of the snake eating its tail of why these decks were so popular is because they were taken to tournaments because of the round length, and then they were winning because and then they get refined and then get taken to more tournaments and they get see more play, and then they eventually get put on this list, and then it's like, well, it's kind of all wrapped around on itself, really.
You see, one of the things that I'm going to talk about, what annoys me now, is, and it's something you're kind of doing, and a lot of people are doing with this, and they're looking at this and going, oh my god, we can't use these cards every... No, that is not what's happening. Please, for the love of God, people just go, well, that's the end. It's the end of Fastro. It's like, no, these cards aren't illegal. They're not going anywhere. They're just a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
And what that's going to make you do is think about your deck, and it's going to make you have to cut things so that you won't get the synergies that you will you'll get, if you're spending 6 of your influence on 3 Astros, 3 Sansans, well, you're going to have to really look at your deck and go, I'm going to have to use more ice out of MBN, which means you'll be using more cards that you perhaps haven't used. The little engine, potentially.
If Little Engine sees more play, I'll be well, not as a runner, I probably won't be happy about that.
I'd be very happy about it. It's really easy to get past. And it's, I don't know, because a lot of this stuff is sort of, it's all tournament level stuff, and it's the same decks that you look at and you go, oh god, I've seen this already today. If you've lost against one prepaid Kate, you look at another one, you're like, oh jeez, and the next one comes like, okay, right, I'm going to lose against this one, I'm going to lose against, and it bums you out. What I want to see is more interesting, and it's interesting that the only, they've taken cards from the most prevalent cards from a lot of the core set for the runner. You're looking at Desperado, Parasite, Yogg. Those are, I just include them. I would include Parasites. We've said before, when you're building a runner deck, if you can cram in a Parasite, hey, good on you, because it's super cheap. Me and you have said it before, and I said it to a lot of my friends, where you look at some of the cards in the core set and you go, it shouldn't be that cheap for that card. And even things out of like clone chips, ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
So, the one I was a little bit confused about is Cerberus, because I haven't seen too much use of that.
I guess I mean the main reason I've heard for it is because Shapers are meant to be experts at barrier breaking, but with the amount of recursion they have means that Lady is basically never ending for them. Yeah. Whereas with criminals who use Rex, it's kind of, you have to be very careful about when you use those counters to get past code gates. And then, very rarely see Cujo in play, but again, it's very, it's very precise, because, Anax can recur a bit, but Shapers, it's so disheartening when you finally got them to use up their Lady counters, and then they'll just, clone chip an SMC back into play, and then do some bullshit, and then they've got the same Lady they just trashed, or they've just... or scavenge the Lady when it's empty to just replenish it, and it's more about they can quickly get back their barrier breaker counters and do it all over again, so they eventually just don't get locked out. But then is this just going to lead to more people using Corroder out of Shaper, and therefore? But
if that's the case, then that'll be on the next most wanted list, I guess. And that's the thing, it's like I don't know how long it's going to be updated or how long this is going to be, because I wonder whether they're just doing it to make you go, okay, they've had a few years of tournaments, and they're sat down and going, you know what, I'm bored of seeing this now. It has a feeling like everyone who's been at the tournament scene has been like, I'm bored of seeing these. Let's really fuck them over and make them do something.
I know, but this kind of goes back to this whole kind of conformity is being punished. I don't use the word punish, but conformity is being kind of given a little knock and saying, hey, you use these cards a lot, you've got other things in your box, give them a look. But I feel, I don't know, I understand why they're doing it, and I respect why they're doing it, but there's part of me that just thinks they should have gone the other way and kind of rewarded creativity, and I don't know how you would do that, aside from saying, you've got 5 extra influence to spend, or you can win with 1 less agenda point, or some bollocks like that. Obviously it wouldn't work, it would probably break the game, but I don't know, I wish there was something that would go, oh, so you're playing Nasir and, I don't know, Harmony Medtech. It's just like, maybe, you're doing something a bit different, maybe using 1 or 2 of the cards that are on the list, but still, it's like you're doing something different. And again, it kind of goes back to, there are going to be some Shapers who, I'm particularly targeting Shapers because it feels like they're like the main faction being targeted. But obviously Kate is the main person they're targeting because she's the most prevalent, using all these most frequently. Then it kind of has that knock-on effect of other Shapers who want to use similar things to do different things, who then have their influence tapered off a little bit because they also want to they just wanted to include 2 clone chips in the deck. But now they're kind of having to pay that extra influence on them. However, however, it's Professor's time to shine, because he can't have his influence load below 1. So, cram your 3 ladies, your 3 clone chips into your Professor deck. He's happy with that.
I don't know.
It's interesting, but I don't know. I definitely feel that it should have maybe gone the other way, and they should have gone. People who are doing interesting things there should be some benefit to that, rather than saying that everyone who's doing the same thing, and then that has a knock-on effect of... And I mean, yeah, I'm all for people using... I mean, this is half the thing we talk about on this podcast is getting people to recognise interesting card combinations or underplayed cards or...
Yeah, if anything, this is helping us, Mark.
Yeah,
why are you shitting on the thing that's helping us the most?
Yeah, but it's... I mean, even like... in my Spark deck that I played for a little while when it came out, I had NAPD in there, but not as a kind of, it's just 6 agenda points. It was in there because the credit tax on it was what the deck was all about. It's all about taxing the runner for everything they did. Yeah. Everything they did was they were going to lose credits throughout
and you can
meeting ice or taking agendas. Oh yeah, absolutely. It just means I'd now have to, go to, just 12 influence instead of 15. But I mean, in the meantime, actually, I've actually, and this goes back to what you were just saying about that if they do want to use it, they'll just kind of have less influence to play with.
Yeah,
and probably have to use more stuff in faction. But yeah, they so far on, and I know this is obviously not conducive to every person who's building a deck right now and everyone who wants to make a most wanted list legal. But I have just seen a lot of decks being published recently that just say, this deck is kind of ready for after the 1st of February when this kicks in. It's a prepaid K, and yeah, we just use 8. We just have 8 influence to spend because I want to use all the things. Or it's a fast advance NEH that says, yeah, I'm happy with just having like 9 influence to spend or 11 influence to spend because I still have my fast advance tools.
There's the added bonus of when you build decks. Like routinely, when I build decks, I can come up influence short.
Yeah,
and actually, it's like, this will actually make it more complete. I know it's not an excuse, but I'm quite happy with that.
I mean, I said this to you. I texted you this yesterday. I think it was that I frequently build decks now, and there are so many good things in faction and neutral that, especially like when I've tried to build HB, I kind of get to the end and think, well, I might as well just throw in 2 caprices because I have 8 influence left. And it's like, because you can put so much good stuff in through the faction itself that often you don't need to use all the influence anyway. So. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good stuff, and it's one thing I'm quite happy about is the fact that Eli is on this list. Is I've seen a lot more people including Resistor in their decks, which is
God.
What? I think it's a good piece of
No, I know. I again, like with Eli, I know it was thrown in there because people just throw it in there for reasons. And I know it's in there because it's cheap, but really, it's not that good a bit of ice. You can just click through it. I don't...
the thing as well, like, I've had people not laugh at me, but just like go like, oh, you've got Marcus 1.0 instead of Eli 1.0 in your deck. Are you mad? It's like, yeah, but
yes.
if you hit a Marcus and can't click through the trash a program thing, or trash an installed card, it's like, that's better than just the run ending. And especially in, I put it in Replicating Perfection when I used it first. It's like, well, yeah, because if you hit an Eli on a central, you can just bounce off it. This, you have to deal with that ice. You have to spend at least 1 click, or at least break that one subroutine with credits to kind of... Okay, it forces the runner to, not just hit and then go to just bounce off a central and then go into the remote and, get rid of the Sunji or whatever. It meant more interaction. But yeah, it feels like this list is very good for kind of getting players out of that mindset and going, you have more cards in your binder at home, go have a look at them. There's probably some stuff which is better for that deck rather than just including the stuff that you are just used to seeing everywhere.
Well, and it's good because, don't get me wrong, the cards are good, but hey, think about it, maybe try something weird.
There
are tons of cards that don't see really any use at all. I'm out of MBN thinking about it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like I say, I'm really glad this is hopefully going to encourage stuff. But I wonder because I mean, at the moment there's a big kind of so many people are playing butcher shop or convenience shop variants at the moment, either out of Neareth Hub or out of Harpsichord, and that kind of to me and I know like Damon Stone said that Scorched Earth was almost on the list, but it's already 4 influence, so it's kind of you're committing a lot of your influence to it already. But it feels like how much this is going to create if people just stop playing these decks. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if people just stop playing like Fast Advance, then it's going to create this power vacuum, and then the next best deck, the next most played, most prevalent, most powerful deck is going to kind of shuffle into that place. And then how long before then it's like, shit, now everyone's playing Butcher Shop or Convenience Shop because that is, I mean, being 24/7 news cycled for the breaking news tags for Double Scorch. It's horrible. It's bad because the corp. It's the equivalent.
You can't do anything.
It's the equivalent of just Noise Shop or DLR Val or something like that, where the corp is they're just drawing cards until they get that combo ready. They don't care what you do. And it's like, then, this, like, what's going to come into this power vacuum and then be like, oh, everyone's playing this. And then would we get into this is what I'm interested in. Are we going to get into this weird situation where, let's say Convenience Shop takes over with 24/7 news, traffic accident, and Scorch, and stuff like that? Are those cards going to go on to Most Wanted, and then, like, San City Grid maybe come off because no one's playing Fast Advance? And then will it just, like, turn in on itself, and then everyone starts playing Fast Advance again? And they just have to keep swapping between these the two powerful decks as they go between being on the Most Wanted list and not, or would it just end up being that everyone's just playing with these cards? And I honestly feel like the core set cards are probably never going to come off this. Like maybe I don't know, Lady or something like that might come off, but I have a feeling that the core set ones are just kind of on there for good, since core set's always in for rotation and stuff.
And you know what? There's nothing really wrong with that. You know, I'm more than happy to see Desperado go on there and Parasite and Yogg, because they don't really bother me. And, you know, the Sun and Astro, I was kind of happy to see the back of them, because I don't like Fast Advance. I've never liked Fast Advance. It plays itself. It's a boring deck. Feel free, I mean, if it's a tournament, it wins. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't like playing it. And coming up against someone who is, you see them, like, you put down your MBA and you're like, alright, well, they're either going to kill me or they're going to Fast Advance, and it's a sense. I was like, oh, good, it's Fast Advance. Well, I'll just wait for the trickle of stuff to come in then. Oh, Astro, and it's fine if you're a boring individual that likes to eat kale. So I'm really sick, guys. I'm sorry. But I welcome changes with open arms, because I think it'll force people to do what we keep encouraging people to do, which is to take a look at cards that maybe you'd think don't work and just try them. You know, I would have never been playing Julian Jinteki for such a long time if it hadn't been recommended to me by my favourite vegetable. And it's still a really good deck.
And for listeners who don't know that, it's Stef's...
Listen to our back catalogue.
It's Stef's Jinteki Biotech deck, which does horrible, horrible things to you, and I still have the nightmares.
Yes. And you know what?
And it's always the 2-net damage.
It's always 2-net damage. Well, you say that. I tricked someone the other day, because they've been playing against me for too long. It's like, well, I can't go below 2, and then I ended up winning through advancing.
Oh yeah, the 4 advancement one.
Put in the 4 advance, and I was like, hey, I win.
Yeah.
But yes. Well, I suppose we've ranted about that for long enough. Weird podcast intro.
Yeah.
I suppose we had to get it out of our system. Have you got anything else to say on the matter?
I know that I've sounded overly negative, but like I say, I don't know. I think there could have been maybe a better way to kind of encourage creativity and trying new stuff rather than.
Well, how so? What do you think?
Well, like I say, like all the stuff that I've thought of so far would either break the game or not work really well. Like I say, it's because I mean this is for tournament play really. Like casual play, people can keep doing, like build whatever deck you want. That's great. You know, but for tournament play, this is where it's focused. And then it's like, well, all right. Obviously, my main thing would be longer rounds, so that encourages people to not have to rely on fast runners and fast corporations to kind of win within 30 minutes each or something like that. And I know 30 minutes can be plenty of time to play through your side of the game, but it does feel like at times it's I don't know, you feel very constricted, and you feel you have to play a fast corp or a fast runner to kind of get everything done in time, and to have maybe a little break before the next round as well. So maybe changing kind of the tournament structure, but then obviously has the impact of how big is this tournament. If it's like a 200-person Worlds tournament and you have 90-minute rounds, that's going to go on for days. It's not going to work very well. But
well, routinely it has to.
Well, yeah, we've gone on for more days, I should say, or
it's gone on for more days.
Or even if it's just something silly, like if you take any kind of, like if they listed like an archetype and put it on the on a Most Wanted list, but for an archetype or so, because kind of like it's got to the point now where you kind of know that this is prepaid K, this is a fast advanced deck, this is a butcher shop deck, and people are like, even if you're new to the game, you kind of start to pick up these terms as you kind of see the card combinations and stuff. Even if it's just something as silly as, if you take this deck that includes some or all of these cards to a tournament, it's under this archetype, then you're fine to play it, but you don't win any prizes. You don't get a mat or a deck box or a trophy or anything like that. You're fine to play it, but you're basically absolving yourself from any rank. You can come first, but you won't technically come first. or something like that. I don't know. Like I say, it wouldn't be received well by players, but even then, you'd think, well, I do want to come first, and I want to have my playmat, and I want to have my trophy, and I want to have my alt art whatever card. So you'd think, well, maybe I won't take this archetype to the tournament. I'll take something else, something more interesting, something that might work just as well. But again, yeah, like I say, it's I've not had a massive amount of time to come up with this. I don't work for FSG, and they'd probably laugh me out of the building if I suggested any of this stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. I think there could have been handled a little differently. But I'm, like I say, like you are, like we're always up for people trying something new, something interesting, shying away from whatever's played the most and coming up with something. I mean, someone had to come up with prepaid Kate at some point, so why not be the next person to discover the next great archetype? There's nothing stopping you except the fact you keep playing prepaid Kate. That's the only thing that holds you back from discovering something new.
But yeah, inspirational.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had plenty of time to ruminate on this.
I can tell. I can tell. Speaking of time, because let's go back to the beginning of the podcast and how we should have done it, which is, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Aside from recovering from being back at work post Christmas, recovering from Christmas. And then obviously recovering from the great ill period, as it may now be known in our Nerdrunners back catalogue. How about yourself?
I'm all right. It was a very busy Christmas. It's weird because I only saw you last week, which is interesting. Usually I haven't. I said to you on New Year's Eve that I haven't spoken to you in ages because we were both sick, and it was weird seeing you in the face. Seeing you in the face, seeing you in the flesh. That's the word. That's the saying I'm using. And hearing your voice, whereas usually you're just this disembodied guy where I don't pay attention and play video games.
Yeah.
But no, it's I'm all right. I haven't played as much since I did the tournament in November, and I took a week break because I was dying. I was exhausted with the game, which is fine. I tend to do that after I've played a tournament.
Yeah.
And it wasn't particularly harsh when it was a homebrew one run in York by the York Meta and CJ Mitchell, who I'll shout out to because he actually did a really good job of running it, and I was very happy with how it turned out, despite me coming really low. But we'll ignore that. But it was about testing the Data from Destiny runners.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but no, and then of course the Great Sickness. The plague hit, and then at New Year's I brought my decks along and I showed you them. We didn't play that actually. You taught me Game of Thrones, which I was kind of about.
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot. Yeah, because we did that in the morning, didn't we? On New Year's Day.
We pissed off your girlfriend and my wife by not paying attention to anybody except each other playing games. Because
but really, we see them all the time.
Yeah, this is our relationship we were working on.
Yeah, like I could kind of see why you didn't like Thrones as much, and I mean I still prefer Netrunner to Thrones anyway. I mean I don't really play Thrones much at all, but
no.
I do enjoy it. And I think it's interesting. I mean I love the theme of it, and I love again it's kind of like the Netrunner, like how the card is thematic to the character, and like if the character's notable for something, then that trait is kind of reflected in the card in Thrones.
Yeah.
And I really like that, and it's. I mean, obviously, we just kind of like what you kind of threw together a quick Tyrell deck for you, and I tried Baratheon for the first time. And yeah, it's. I mean, I still like it. I still will try and play it when I can. But so yeah, it's what you kind of thought it was a bit too kind of.
It was too mathsy, too much. Again, reasons I don't like Magic.
You thought was it too reactive to like I do something, but then you can cancel it, but then I can cancel the cancel, and
yeah, it's that combo of I do this, then this, then this, and this, and this, and it's 20 points of this and game, and it's like fine. Yeah, it's when someone gets 5 minutes into an explanation, you're just like, I don't just do your thing, I don't care. But no, so that's what we did. But what, because you've played more Netrunner since, you played last night, I believe.
I did, yes.
So what are you playing at the minute?
First time I played for about a month, I think. Well, I mean, it's hard for me to play over Christmas because the pub where we usually meet here in London is usually booked out for Christmas parties because, well, when we first started going there, we used to go to like a Cafe Nero, I think it is, or a Costa that's next door to the pub. It's kind of tiny tables in a small area upstairs, and then our group grew and grew and grew. And now we pretty much fill the entire basement of this pub, which is like 40, 50 people, which is insanely impressive. And I couldn't be prouder of the fact how much we've grown in like the last 2 years. And even last night, I had really lovely people come up to me and just ask whether like because we've I want to do this more on like a full episode about kind of beginner stuff, and we're going to talk about the core set, I think, at some point soon.
Yes,
in retrospect, which is going to be interesting now we have the most wanted list. But yeah, they were like, because we usually have a kind of a beginner, new to Netrunner, interested in it but don't have decks kind of table. But I think because it'd been New Year and it's like the first week back after kind of seasonal festivities, that no one had kind of taken it on themselves to be, or we'd not kind of got it properly organised yet. So I was like, well, I guess we don't appear to have anyone. So I kind of ended up, I think I had like 5 or 6 newish players, either who had some decks with them or just had come to just watch, which is obviously really... it was basically like live streaming, but with actual people instead of webcams.
That thing we did before technology with our eyes.
It'll never catch on.
We watched.
And then, Chris from Run Less Click, who's obviously frequents our group as well. He kind of came over and helped with some of the teaching as well. But yeah, it's great, and we had like loads of new people there, and they got to see me play really badly because I had the Ken Tenma deck, which I kind of alluded to a bit, and I don't know, it was a bit muddly. I wasn't overly happy with it. I had 3 copies of Notoriety in there because I'd seen a match on Teamwork Cast recently where there'd been a Chaos Theory running Faust and Bagbiter, and had won off lots of runs with Hyperdriver and then double Notoriety at the very end. I was like, ooh, I could do that as Ken because I have Doppelganger. Didn't work out so well because I was against a Food Coats and then a Blue Sun, so Glacier all the way, which makes... and also the fact I didn't find any of my Data Suckers or hardly any of my run events either, which was also really bad. But then I'm like that when I'm playing very runny runners, because I run a lot and I don't draw cards, and that's my... I feel I should maybe put Drug Dealer in there, just to kind of... Then I have the automatic card draw every turn, but at the moment it's got Symmetrical Visage in, kind of replacing... Because I was going to put John Masanori in, but then I thought, well, if I make unsuccessful runs, I'm getting tags, and that's more stuff to clear if I don't want to be tagged. And then change that for Fisk Investment Seminar, which I thought we kind of fits with Tenma, because it's fast, you immediately get 3 cards. But I don't know, that Investment Seminar still kind of runs the line between, you junk up the corpse hand, or you give them the 3 cards they can easily play, or give them enough cards they can easily play next turn where it doesn't matter, they got flooded. So I don't know, that's still I still like it as a card, but I think it seems to pay off better for the corpse at times, I think. But yeah, it's like I said, it's got Visage in there at the moment to kind of get some more money in, but I don't know, maybe I think about Drug Dealer. But obviously with a lot of Glacier decks around at the moment, it's very hard to pull off your security testing runs because they ice everything up. But no, yeah, really enjoying Kentema. The Public Terminal, which obviously I returned to after seeing Prepaid on this list.
Yep.
I have, I think, 14 or 15 run events in the decks. I mean, honestly, Public Terminal was in there first, and then I was like, well, I've got a Special Order, I've got Short Gamble, and I've got... what's the other one that I run that's an event like that? It's another criminal event.
Tell you.
I know, because you've not seen the deck. But yeah, there's like 3 or 4 like non-run events, and I was like, well, I guess it, Prepaid will work on everything. But then went back to Public Terminal before even trying out Prepaid, and Public Terminal is just so good, especially when you've got 2 of them out. You play a legwork and you earn a credit for doing it, and it doesn't cost you anything because you just spent 2 recurring credits on it. It's great. It's so good. Love that. And it's got Kentemma on the art, which means it's, more power to playing it in Kentemma, it feels. It's like it's his card. So that's being tinkered with at the moment, because I'm going to a tournament soon, so try and take Kentemma with me.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I've done Tenma tournament play before, but the other deck that I was running, which is I think going to get sleeved back into the binder, because I don't know, I like it. I just can't seem to make it work consistently well, is Chronos Protocol. And I think I talked about this before we broke up for Christmas. That sounds really weird. Before we were ill and then didn't do any podcasts for a while.
Before me and you had a brief breakup due to death.
But no, I like it. I like the fact it's given Neuralien a new lease of life in that you just ping away key cards. I had a really good matchup against Dan, I think his name was, and I was just kind of pinging away Overminds and Fausts, so he just had no breakers to get through anything, which was just hilarious. But no, I like it. It's just, I don't know. It's a 54 card deck as well, and you really notice. I don't think I've ever played with a larger corp deck like that before, and I've really noticed the extra cards. Just, it feels so much slower, and I don't know if that's just because I've built it and there's, you know, not a great amount of card draw besides like Jackson Howard anyway. But yeah, it's been fun. It does, you know, it's got shocks and snares and fetal AIs. And I put 2 Comminers in there for some Faust hate because I was sick to death of Faust. And the best play that I found last night was Kaminu protecting a fetal AI. So they either use all their cards with Faust on the Kaminu, get through, take the net damage and die, or they use all their money with E3 feedback to break all the subs on Kaminu, if they've got a huge hand like most Faust decks tend to be, to pay through it, and then they don't have the 2 credits to steal the fetal AI, take the net damage. But no, it's great. I tried targeted marketing in there for a while as well, but I don't know. I'm just bad at predicting cards. It turns out, even when I've seen the fucking hand, I'm still bad at predicting.
I
cards.
could have told you that. Yeah. You've never been good at predicting cards.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I had fun with it. I really liked it. I don't know. I still feel like there's a lot more I could be doing with it to improve it, and maybe it's a case of trying to speed it up a little bit because it is a slow chugging deck, and it takes a while to get things done, and there's not much end the run either. It's because all the ice is more or less focused on doing a bit of net damage or being kind of strong. Assassin is brilliant though.
Yep.
Not only will it hurt badly if you run into it by accident, it's also a pain to break, and also just wards off people from it. I had the same kind of vibe that I did when I played Enforcer 1.0 in HB. It's just this bouncer on my server that no one really wants to pass. And so that they basically lock off the server for the rest of the game. So yeah, I'm now building a Foundry deck because I have a tournament coming up, and it seems only fitting that I take another Foundry deck. I will make it. Right. I will make it win. I did well with the Blue Sun. And,
we'll see. We'll see how you do with that.
Didn't do too badly last time, but I had surprise punitive Counter-Strike in it. This time I'm going for surprise, I don't know, current or surprise. Yeah, I don't know, but it's bringing back the next ice, which I've always loved, and I considered IT department, but I'm going to go for boot camp. And it's got obviously global food in there because that agenda is just still so good. It's fantastic if you're the corp. It's horrendous if you're the runner. It's exactly the agenda that you want as a corporation. And again, if you're a corporation and you suddenly find yourself a bit influence light because you're trying to run new things, obviously the 3 influence for 3 of them is pretty good. But no, yeah, I've got 3 of those in the deck, and it's I don't know. I'm toying with the name Fat Camp at the moment because it's Global Food Initiative and Executive Boot Camp.
Nice.
But no, yeah, I'm hoping to do some cool stuff with Foundry. But again, it's like, those Eli's are going to have to come out at some point, or I'm going to have to not build to my influence limit. But it shouldn't be too hard. There's lots of good stuff in HB. But yeah, and playing against food coats is just, once they've got a few their advertisements going, Eves and Adonises, or even launch campaign, it's just like, you can try and keep them down to start with and try and trash them when you see them, but it just one piece of ice over each of them, or in the scoring server, and they're just making just so much money. Yeah. it's so bad. And then you run in, and it's a Caprice, and you're just like, and then it's also the running Ash, and now they start running Chrysium Grid as well, which, as someone who's now playing a lot of run events, I don't really like that, because I have a lot of successful run triggers. As Ken Tenma. Oh, Jesus. But no, yeah, so it's interesting at the moment. But yeah, still enjoying Ken. It's nice to go back to him. It's still good to go back into teaching myself to run a lot and play run events. And obviously, yeah, I'll hopefully have some fun with Foundry soon. But yeah, I enjoyed Chronos Protocol, but unfortunately I just couldn't make a good enough deck with it. But it's still, hilarious putting, using Chronos Project is the agenda, yeah. Protocol's using Chronos Project to just get rid of like a ton of cards before they can levy. It's just brilliant. And that was only went in there because I felt that it should go in for thematics. It makes sense that their Chronos Project would be from Chronos Protocol, regardless of the fact it's a neutral agenda.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But yeah, hopefully you'll do okay in the tournament. And
well, I'm sure you'll do at least mediocre.
That's where I'm aiming. It sounds like it's going to be quite a big tournament as well, so hopefully, if I can place kind of in the top half, I'll be happy with that. So that's pretty much everything. Yeah. We have quite a lot of reader mail to get through. We'll hopefully do that on the next episode. Yeah. Sorry if you've contacted us and we've not replied. It's because, everything we've just said in this podcast. But yeah, we'll do our best to get through all of that in the next episode. So yeah, if you do want to contact us in the meantime, you can do that through email at nerdrunnerspodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to the website, which is canlaugh.com/nerdrunners. There's also a contact form on the website if you want to send through any feedback that way. We'll post on Reddit, and I'll start throwing this out into more places as well, so you'll probably see it popping up here, there, and everywhere if I can. We're on Twitter. I'm at MarcusFriend, and Steph is at House of Moose. We've got profiles on NetRunnerDB. We'll try and post some of the interest. If you want to see Julie Engine Techie, check out Steph's profile on there, which is
I will eventually update my profile on there and stuff that I'm playing. I'm still working on some decks, so hopefully in the next few weeks I'll be able to play some.
I'm at MarcusFriend on NetRunnerDB, and Steph is Rin, which is RYNN. And then we'll post on iTunes and all your lovely local RSS feeds. It should pop up on as well. And if you'd like to give us any positive feedback on iTunes, it'd be greatly appreciated. We hear it does wonders for rankings. I'm still yet to be convinced this is a real thing. I think it's just something people say at the end of podcasts.
So prove us wrong and like
prove us
everything
wrong by
we do.
Getting us to the top of the bestest board game, other games podcasts that I think I've put our podcast in. Or
knows?
Tell your friends and say, hey, there's this cool podcast. They're awesome. Listen to them, as well as every other Netrunner podcast, because there's lots of them, and they're all good, really.
Yeah,
and because everyone releases on a fairly good schedule, you can probably listen to pretty much all of them and not kind of run out over the course of a week, which is quite nice. And hopefully we can be one of those for you.
Maybe. He's hoping.
Cool. So I think that's about everything. So
yes.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him. Goodbye.
Oh, can we keep that? I like that. I like that.
I think that might actually be owned by the BBC, but I'm not entirely sure.
Quick, cut to the music. Oh man, it was fun playing as Kantama, but it was just really I probably won't include this in the podcast. But someone said to me when I threw down Doppelganger, they went, "Oh, so you're playing that instead of Desperado?" And I tried really, really hard not to bite their head off and just be like, "Dude, dude, you don't have to play Desperado, and this doesn't have to replace Desperado."
You're so, yeah, I am. I'm not a jackass. Well done.
I was playing Doppelganger before you were born.
I played Doppelganger before you were even fucking playing. I'm playing this for years now. How dare you? How dare you come into my house? You come into my house
and accuse me of playing Desperado.
I will.
Do you know me?
Flip the
Do you
table.
fucking know me?
Okay.
All right.
That got a bit weird.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
That escalated.